Crusaders, welcome to season 2 of the Beyond the Shore podcast. Listen, if this is your first time with us, my name is Kels Johnson, and I am the CEO of the River Network and host of Beyond the Shore. And I'm so thrilled that you've joined us today to tune in to this conversation. Listen, let's get a couple of house rules out of the way. If at any point during this conversation you find it enjoyable, I need you to hit the like button and drop a comment down below. Why? Because that lets YouTube know that you are enjoying the content that you're watching. If you at any point in this video you feel inspired, you feel some sense of life change happening as a result of the conversation, and you're like, I need more of this, I need you to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video coming from the River Network. Number 3, if you feel like this conversation is for somebody that you know, take a moment and hit the share button and send it to somebody in your sphere of influence, because I want to get these conversations to as many leaders as possible. And leading is not just in a big capacity. Leading is a mother at home leading her children, a father leading his sons while they're trying to navigate the pressures of life. You are a leader wherever you are. That's what Beyond the Shore is about. It's a conversation for leaders, dreamers, innovators, and world changers. And if you're watching this episode, that means you're one of those people, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. Listen, today's conversation, to get us started off, I am pumped. And I want to tell you a little bit about who this person is. Number 1, he is the senior pastor, apostle, founder of Story Church in Atlanta, Georgia. He's also the author of A Greater Story. You've got to go get this book. He is an entrepreneur. He is the president of Story Collective that just signed a deal with Capital and Rethink Media. I'm telling you, this person that I'm having a conversation with, if you know me and you've heard all of the accolades up until this point, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But this person, you need to know him because he has this uncanny ability to pull out the greatness within the people that surround him. And I'm believing that this conversation is going to pull out some greatness within you. Friends, would you help me welcome Beyond the Shore, my friend, Pastor Sam Collier.
So, what's up, man?
Dr. K.
We got Pastor Apostle Sam Collier on Beyond the Shore. This is incredible.
Wait, say that name again?
Beyond the Shore.
The Shore?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what does that mean?
So, we got the River Network.
Yeah.
But the podcast is for leaders, dreamers, innovators, and world changers.
Ooh.
And so I believe that if you're going to do any of those things, you've got to go beyond the shore. You've got to get off of the beach. And you got to go beyond the shore.
Listen, I know it's your episode, but I had to just get a quick. We can't go by the shore. It's like I had to beyond the shore, bro. First of all, the river, the name River alone, is just. I mean, it's brilliant. I feel like you were the first person I heard ever use the term river. Like brand it.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, everybody started using river.
Bro,
did you see this?
That is a fact. That happened.
And I'm not like giving you I'm not like Kels is the man. I'm more so like, it literally is what started happening. I started saying river. I'm like, we in the river. Do y'all feel that? I said, man, this man, Kel. And it's such a perfect name, bro. So
thank you.
It's an honor to be on the River Network. It's an honor to be on Beyond the Shore. Man. It's an honor to go beyond the shore.
It's an honor to have you. Listen, okay, for those of you watching right now, you're trying to figure out what's happening. He is a podcast interview guru. Like, he had his podcast, which is on the way. It's coming back, called A Greater Story.
We're working on some deals.
Can y'all just sew into River right now so we can write A Greater Story a check, please? We need him.
I'm not taking you. What they say, your money's no good here. I'm coming for free. I just want to sow a seed.
Bro, this is going to be a great one. I'm so excited to have you here, man. We've got a lot to talk about.
Oh, wow.
So much to get into. First of all, let's go back.
I can't do this voice.
I want to go back.
It's the, and you're not faking it. That's what it's like somebody at our church that's like, I'm like, don't touch me. It's too much power in your hands. That's your voice. That third generation bishop voice. It's power. It's in the river. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep.
Okay, let's go back.
Let's go back. Yep.
You are native to Atlanta. Give me what it was like growing up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
With your specific story. Just in case somebody's watching and they're like, who is this guy?
Wow. One of the things I think that's so interesting, to your point, you said it's going to be a good episode. We got so much to talk about because we talk every day.
Yes.
So I feel like now we're just doing it in front of the cameras, and there's so many ways we could go. Man, so we're in Atlanta now doing this. I'm born and raised. Technically, I was born in Augusta, got adopted and moved to Atlanta when I was like 5 months. So born and raised Georgia.
Wow.
Born and raised Atlanta, So, but I grew up, man. My dad had a barbershop on Auburn Avenue. And if you know anything about what they call Sweet Auburn, it is birthplace of civil rights.
What?
The street Dr. King was born on. Ebenezer's on Auburn.
Okay.
The above tombs of Cordae and MLK sit on Auburn at the King Center.
So that's their
grave site. In the pool at the King Center.
Bro, I am having a moment because I just saw it. We just went and I was like, that can't be it.
I want to say it right, buried. They buried Martin Luther King and Cordae next to each other above ground.
I'm floored.
On Auburn.
I got the picture. I was like, that can't be it. Oh
Across the street from there, diagonal, is my dad's barbershop.
Whoa.
So I grew up across, it's funny, I've never even realized this, but I grew up across the street from Dr. King's grave.
Jeez.
And did not even understand the significance because I was young,
Right.
I'm 6, 7, 8, walking up and down Sweet Auburn, singing. I used to sing.
We're going there.
I'm singing. I used to walk up and down Sweet Auburn, singing the national anthem. And say, can you see? I don't know what I was doing.
By the dawn.
Yes. So civil rights is just such a big part of my history. My mother, who adopted us, me and my twin sister, she was from DC, super into like the Black Panther Party. She never became a Black Panther, but she was always into like just what it meant to be Black in America.
Yeah.
And fight for what's right and justice and all of that. So I got this mother that's into justice that's like, let's go march him. Then I got this father who has one of the oldest businesses on historic Auburn across the street from the King Center at Ebenezer.
That's wild.
And that's where I grew up. So it's been an interesting ride, I won't go too far, but had my first job in ministry at Ebenezer.
Wow.
When I was roughly 19. Then New Birth, then North Point, then Hillsong, then Story Church. So I don't want to get ahead.
Right.
But that's me.
So much is making sense right now. In this moment, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, so you were adopted.
Yep.
And I spoke earlier talking about your ministry or podcast brand, A Greater Story. And most people don't know, but you actually met your biological parents on the Steve Harvey Show.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Man, we in the river already.
We're here.
Man, it's a crazy story. That's a really big question. I will do my best to keep it short. But I'll say, my dad grew up in Auburn, had a barbershop in Auburn, and long story short, met my mother in the middle of his divorce second divorce. My mother was in the middle of her first divorce, and they get together and give their life to Christ for the first time. So never, but they weren't Christians before that. Maybe grew up in church. Maybe, I don't even fully remember or fully know. But I do know that my dad's like 50 at the time.
Wow.
And they meet Jesus, bro. And my mother's like 35 at the time. And they meet Jesus and get married and they want to now do it God's way. So it's like my dad's last kind of attempt to, when he's kind of going into the second season of his life, the last attempt to just do it God's way and to get it right. Because before that, for my mother and for my father, they had lived lives that produced a certain reality that they were not proud of.
Got it.
2 divorces. You know, my mother was actually married to a Black Panther at one time, super abusive to her.
Got it.
I mean, like hammered to the head, kind of abusive.
Jesus.
And they just said, well, like, man, Jesus has to be better than this.
Yeah.
And so they give their life to Christ. He obviously transforms them. They get married. They can't have kids. My mother couldn't have kids. They come back from DC at the time where they were living. That's where they met. Down to Atlanta and adopt kids from Augusta and move them back to Atlanta. Now, my dad is from Pike County, Georgia, which is about about an hour from Atlanta.
Okay.
So you could technically say he's from Atlanta, but he's kind of, no. So this is like home ground. But he grew up, first of all, I didn't realize he was Haitian until like 5 years ago. Don't ask me. Like full blood Haitian.
Oh my God.
He's full blood Haitian. I said, you're Haitian? Then I was like, that's why my last name's Collier.
Makes sense.
French. You know what I mean? I was just like, what is?
Oh my God.
I'm like, how are you full blood Haitian? And I'm just, you never told us that. Why haven't we been to Haiti? Full blood Haitian, bro.
Bro, that's crazy.
So, with the story of them, I don't go, like my dad, like 9, 10 brothers and sisters, and I believe his granddad moved from Haiti. His great granddad was a slave in Haiti. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
When the French colonized and all that. Then they moved over here and their family was like the result of all this. But I never knew that.
Wow.
So anyway, bro, so they're doing it God's way. They come down and adopt us. And from that point to about now, it's just for them, it's just been about Christ, man.
Yeah.
And man, I grew up in the house with TD Jakes every Sunday on like blasting through the house. Remember when he was radio and television?
Yes.
After he would go off, Joyce Myers would come on. After she would go off, Joel Osteen would come on.
Yes.
Richard Small will be playing in the background.
What
Order My Steps. Like it's just
in your word, dear Lord. Wow.
Like that was my house. Every Sunday. Boom, 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 boom. And so because they were trying to do it God's way, you know, they prayed a lot. And my dad's brother is the one that passed him the barbershop. So they kind of had this relationship where my uncle, he would go first. And then when he would get done with it, he would pass it to my dad.
Makes sense.
So my uncle built the barbershop. My uncle went to the army.
Your dad went to the army.
My dad went to the army.
Wow.
My uncle started a barbershop. He got done with it, gave it to my dad. My uncle started a church. He got done with it and made my dad a pastor. So for 4 years, he's pastor. 4 or 5 years, he's pastor in this inner city, 20 people on Easter church.
Wow.
And that's the church I grew up in from like age 10 to about 14, maybe 9 to about 14. So the reason I'm telling you that part of the story is to kind of walk you through his maturation process of Christian leadership.
Yeah.
And understanding of faith. And faith was his big thing. Like,
yeah.
Faith is the evidence of what is it? You got it.
Faith is the substance of things
hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Yeah.
Every Sunday where he said that.
Wow.
That was his message. Like, and so, you know, I don't know that he was into the prophetic at the time. I don't even know if he, you know, Black Baptists are like, not really Baptist. Like some of them are for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of Black Baptists are just Pentecostals.
Pentecostal adjacent. They're just like, it's like right there.
Like, we Baptists. Let's speak in tongues. And so, I don't know. My dad spoke in tongues a little bit, if I can like vaguely remember, but I don't really know if he was in the prophetic. All I know is that he was really into God. So he's pastoring this church.
Yeah.
And he's running his barbershop at the same time. bivocational ministry, right?
Yeah.
Pastoring 20 people on Easter, barbershop Monday through Friday. So long story short, me and my sister come of age. We're about 24. And my dad is watching. I'm going to tell it in hindsight, but in retrospect, but in real time, my dad is watching the Steve Harvey show in the barbershop on like every day. Because when you're in the barbershop,
Right.
Friday and Saturday, you know this black barbershop, movie barbershop. Friday and Saturday are the big days. It's packed to the 100%. Wall. You get a haircut on Tuesday, ain't nobody gonna be there. You in and out.
Right.
So it's like he's watching Steve Harvey every day. So if you're a barber, you just in the chair. And it's his barbershop. So he's in the chair Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's the same routine. Well, one day he's in the barbershop and he says that God tells him that Steve Harvey's gonna help us find our biological family. Craziest story.
What?
He said he hears this. And we didn't know this at the time. So we come and meet him on that Sunday. And we're sitting watching the NFL and football Sunday afternoon. And on commercial break, he just starts yelling, "It's time for you to go meet your family." How he said it was, "Y'all need to go meet your parents." I mean, he just came out of nowhere. I mean, he country. He like Pike County. Chickens, rutabagas.
And Haitian.
Okay. Y'all need to go meet your family. We're like, what? That's literally how it happened. What are you talking about? Like,
Jesus.
And he was like, well, you could grow up one day and marry your cousin and you'd never know it.
Oh my God.
And he's dead serious, Haitian, crazy country. Like, what? He's like, you want to marry your cousin? No, I don't want to marry. Well, you need to go find him. We're like, this is ridiculous.
This is crazy.
He's like, and y'all need to write into Steve Harvey because he's going to help you do it. I thought he had lost. And we was like, well, you're nuts.
Right, because
your
biological is in Savannah.
They were in Augusta.
Augusta, sorry.
Yes.
Your biological family. So it's Georgia.
Dad's side. Yes. My mother's side, which we learned later, was in Ohio. Which we didn't know. But my dad's full side is in Augusta.
Right, but
yes,
he's thinking like it's Georgia, so anything could pop off. So y'all need to go meet your family.
I think. That makes a lot of sense. We've never navigated that thought process. But he's just like, yeah. And bro, I left because I thought he had lost his mind. He's like, he's just randomly shouting out Steve. Again, we don't know that he has received this prophetic word in his mind.
Right.
Or in his spirit. So I leave 2 weeks later. I find out he convinced my sister to write in. A year goes by. Nobody calls us. I'm like, nobody's going to call. They call through a series of events, which we can get into later, and basically say, the 100 papers on our desk, it's my first day on the job. Your paper was the first paper. Story, we think we can help you find your parents. Do you want to do it? And my sister doesn't want to do it. She's like, I'll do it for you. My mom is like, you need to do it. My dad's like, y'all should do it. We go up. They fly us to Chicago to do the show. Oprah, and where Oprah used to film her stuff, which I've written a book about this.
Yep.
Go get it.
Yep.
It's called A Greater Story.
We were going to lean in.
It has all of the details and more.
Wow.
Baker Publishing would appreciate you. But we fly up, Oprah Studio, and when we get there, they say, we haven't found anybody. We're sorry. We just flew you up.
Yeah.
And we want to bring you on the show to just make a plea. If they're out there somewhere, they would show up. Now, people who have been on talk shows before said that 9 times out of 10, they found them. Mm-hmm. They're not just going to fly you up. Right. And so we had a 50% chance in our mind that this would probably happen, but you didn't know.
Yeah.
Because we're rehearsing lines. Like, what are you going to say? We'll be on the show. Like, okay, well, hey, if you're out there, we just want to make a plea that maybe one day. So we go on the show, bro. We make the plea. Commercial break happens. Steve plays Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's jumping all around. He's everything you think he is and more.
I can only imagine.
He's just like, he's in professional mode. He's like, hey, welcome to River. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do that.
And then on the commercial break, he's like, come on, y'all, get on your feet.
Come on, get your gun.
I mean, just like crazy. So
Uncle Steve.
He turns into Uncle Steve.
Jeez.
And then camera comes back on, he right back in. Like it never happened.
Wow.
So comes back, he's like, hey, I know we said we didn't find your people, but we did. Your mother's here. Come on out, Eleanor. And she comes out. That's the story.
And you wept. I saw it.
It was a lot going on. My sister obviously was weeping.
Yeah.
I was hiding because I didn't really know how to feel. I was like, okay, we're on national television. What's happening right now? Okay, I need to. So I'm down. You know what I mean? So I put my head up, and I had collected myself by that point. But yes, all the emotions and more. You know, you get into a moment in which, you know, you don't know which emotion to choose. You just got all of them. All of them. Surprise, shock, awe, joy, peace, confusion, anger. You just like, how do I feel? The question is, or at least for me, was how am I supposed to feel? You know what I'm saying?
What a question.
How am I supposed to feel? And that particular thought process or question was at war with, how does God want me to feel? You know, how does he want me to respond? So how am I supposed to respond? How does God want me to respond? And then there's the actual what do I actually feel? So,
bro, that's an incredible story, and it's wild, and it shows so much in your journey, your story.
Yeah.
Because if I were to surmise your story, I would say you are one that has had to deal with tension. The tension of two places and navigating kind of what you just said. Like, what am I supposed to be feeling right now? And what does God want me to feel? Right. And you've had to endure a high level of major decisions for a long time. And I don't
come
think,
on, Bishop.
I don't think people actually know how to live a life of making major decisions. Oftentimes at the fault of somebody else.
Come on, bro. Yeah.
How have you what has been your tool to navigate making such decisions? I feel like in 2023 right now, there are a lot of people who have to make major decisions. Probably more than what it would have been like 15 years ago. Like there's a lot of major decisions that are being made between, you know, what some would say recession, inflation, losing jobs, having to make quick pivots, which you've had to make quick pivots. We're going to get into the quick pivots.
Whatever we do,
what has been your like tool to navigate those decisions? I feel like a lot of us don't have that tool.
Oh man. So I think Black people are used to making, you know, lack of a better phrase, diamonds out of trash.
That's a fact.
We just used to it. You know what I mean? It's like
we get it out the mud.
You know, it's the old country dish they used to call goulash.
Goulash.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
But it essentially is you take everything that you got left over in the fridge, you just put it in the pot,
you go.
And you eat. You know, it's
that's where gumbo came from.
That's where gumbo came from. We're just used to like, you know, it is what it is. Let's make the best of what we got to get to where we gotta go. You know, slavery, all the above.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, as a Black man, it comes natural to navigate crisis well. And I think where my gifting helps me navigate it, I believe, or what some have said, is an abnormally better than some in really tough situations.
Yes.
I just think it's the way God made me. And, you know, we talk about, you know, the apostolic gift, which we can get into that. It's not something I wanted. It's not something that, if anybody's been watching me, it's like I stumbled my way into what I felt like the Lord told me to do.
You did.
Versus what I wanted to do, because my gifting says that's going to mess up what I'm trying to do.
You really did.
And so with that being said, that's a part of the apostolic gift, I think, is to like, it's strategy. It's how do you make the best out of a bad situation? How do you keep your emotions down? How do you navigate? My therapist would just say, you're just like a master strategist.
You are.
And
100%.
thank you.
We're in Atlanta. Me and my wife are in Atlanta right now because you're a master strategist.
I don't have time. This is not.
Don't whisper.
I'm whispering because I don't want them to hear me.
But that's just what you do. Like
Yeah.
It's not only just for you. Like you can strategize for basically anybody. That is it's the apostolic that's in you.
Very Olivia Pope, yes. I love Scandal. I'm watching it like, ooh, Olivia.
You are Olivia.
I'm not Olivia. Tony's Olivia.
You're Papa Pope. You are Papa Pope. You are pulling the strings.
I do identify with that gift set. And I think to answer your initial question about, people that are navigating crisis, I think it's very important to be sober. I think that's one of the main reasons why people can't navigate crisis well, because their emotions cloud their ability to think. And so it's, and on a very simple level, and this is not something I was always great at. This is something I learned. Let me give an example. A funny example. So I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. And one of the things I started learning, that's a challenger. It's very aggressive personality.
I'm a wing 8.
Yes.
And we be.
No, they said Dr. King was an 8.
Listen,
anyway,
can I just make this proclamation? You are the closest thing to Dr. King that I've ever encountered.
Well, wow.
Outside of his daughter, of course.
His daughter, that's what I'm saying. I was give all her credit. If I feel anything like him, it's because I know predictions.
She's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT.
The way, watching you very closely, I see everything that you just shared at the beginning. Like you are the fruits of who he is and what his dream was. You've to go from Ebenezer to New Birth to North Point, and then all of the other churches that you have been able to connect with because of a North Point is reflective of his dream.
100%. 100%. Learning to live together as brothers so we don't perish as fools.
Yo, listen, I needed to jump in really quick. This conversation is so good, and I want to get you right back to it, but we got to pause for the cause. And the cause is to shout out some of the people that made this happen. When we were getting started with getting Beyond the Shore Season 2 off the ground, the Lord told me, listen, I need you to petition the people to help you to take this thing to the next level. And as you can see, we've got a set, we've got guests coming in, there's more things that are happening, we've got a website, there's things that have happened. We've brought in a photographer. Listen, this thing is official. And that was because of the people that decided to sow into Season 2 of what we're doing at Beyond the Shore. I also want to thank our friend, our partner, Mr. Ezekiel, my homie, for so graciously supplying us with this incredible, beautiful space called the VERA LOFTS. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. So please stick around and listen to it. But I just wanted to shout him out. Also, I wanted to pause parenthetically and say season 3 is already in the works. We're strategizing, we're planning, we're getting things in order right now. And so if you want to be a part of giving into season 3, just like those that gave into season 2 and made this possible for you to watch, would you be an extension of generosity for somebody else for season 3? And consider helping us to reach our goal of $3,000 to produce season 3. That's to get the photographers, that's to bring in some more help and hands with videographers. Listen, this time around, all of this that you see from a video perspective, that was me. It was me setting up cameras and recording and running back and forth and all of those good things. And I enjoyed doing it, but I really want to empower some other people to use their gifts. And I want to be able to resource them for their time. So could you help me make this happen? You can give at any of the ways that's on the screen or in the description section below. Listen, I believe this conversation is going to change your life. I'm ready to jump back in it. Let's go back now into the conversation.
I mean, that's his thing, you know, and I owe a lot of it, if not all of it, to Bernice. I mean, I could go down the Bernice road.
She's amazing.
Dr. Bernice King. I could go down that road, you know, for a really long time. So my story. So I'm an 8. I had to learn early on not to respond directly to emails that made me mad. You ever got an email?
Yes.
That felt was like passive aggressive.
Yes.
I didn't really, you know, I didn't grow up in the corporate world. So I used to be a musician. You know, my first job was at my dad's barbershop.
Right.
Dusting hair off when I was young. Then I just jumped straight from there. I mean, you identify. I never had a normal job.
Yeah.
So I jumped straight from there to music.
Yep.
And so when I got into like the North Point worlds and the email worlds, I just flowed in it like I flowed in regular life, which is like, we don't, you know, in the music industry, I'm not about to be passive aggressive.
You know,
I'm coming to your house. What's up, bro? Like, let's have a conversation.
Yes.
Meet me downtown.
Yes.
It just is. We don't have no room for games.
Yeah.
So when I got into the email world and people was like sending me passive aggressive emails, like, I didn't know what I'll be like responding. I would be like, the audacity of you
using all the big
the audacity of you to even think that I would even consider this, and don't try to act like I didn't understand what you were saying. And then you know what happened?
Oh my God.
I would send the email. 5 minutes later, I would say,
I should have
did
did
that
that. I should have did that.
I'm like, because all of a sudden, and then we get off this topic, all of a sudden, I could see clearer because my emotions were here. And I started seeing like 18 different ways I could have said it. And so for me, what that taught me was if you can keep your emotions down, your mind can become activated in crisis and you're able to go boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I see these 20 ways. Let's move. And so I think that's just one of the keys. As people are navigating crisis and in this season, it's like, you know, and this is another lesson I had to learn coming through when we can get detailed about any other crisis that I've come through. One of them I had to learn more recently. My therapist told me, you got to trust God with the outcome. And you have to trust him in the waiting. Because for me, I'm like, well, I've done this, I've done that. Like, this is going crazy. And I would want to fix it. And well, I need to do this. And she said, there's just some things like, you can't fix it. You've done everything you could for that.
Yeah.
Now you just got to wait. I'm like, yeah, but the waiting is killing me. And she's like, but it's not going to kill you. God loves you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what she's going into that place.
Yeah.
So that was a more recent lesson of like in the crisis, knowing, man, you know what? Let me do all I can.
Yeah.
And trust God with the unknown.
Yeah.
And be okay. And that keeps my emotions down too, which allows for me to, you know.
That's good. That leads me into kind of like the final part of the conversation that I want to get into, because you've now, this is what I call it. I know the world is calling it this as well, but you don't accept it. You've created a movement.
What is going on?
Even in its 1-year-old stage, you've created a movement called Story Church.
It was the original idea, the original plan, because I remember this,
Wow.
but another opportunity was open to you that made so much sense, that was in line with your gifting, that was in line with even kind of what we were just talking about with Dr. King. Like, you were going into a space that never received anything like you at a high level to run, in the organization. And then you had to make a massive pivot. Like, something that would have shaken other people. Probably did shake you for a bit, but you came down from that emotion and tapped into, this is what I have to do now. And you've been able to start a movement from a moment birthed because of your story. And your overall slogan, for people that don't know, is, when your story connects with God's story, it leads to a greater story. And talk a little bit about what this current journey with Story Church has been, that's leading you to the greater story.
It's been a story.
Ooh, brother.
What they say? I got a story to tell.
I got a story to tell about some things that I went through.
I got a story to tell. Man, the idea of connecting your story to God's story is all about surrender. And that's what the book is about. That's what my life has been about. And I think that's what we are attempting to help people do, because we feel like if we can just help get people to God, and if they can surrender to God, once they get to him, he has a better plan for them than they have for themselves. And I've learned that any Christian that is, worth their salt, right?
Yeah.
They know that. They've seen God change their life. They know that things are better with him. They know when they do it his way, it's better. And so surrender is what we're trying to get people to do. And I think for me, the surrender had to start with me, because I had other plans.
Yep.
I'm a strategist, so I always got 5 different things in the eye. Oh, if I
Yes, you do.
I could be this, if I did this, or if I could do this. I'm always like, how do we pivot? How do we, and which is just a gift. But
we're gonna have to do a second episode.
Listen,
I've got to tap into that for the multi-gifted people.
Ooh, that's another episode.
That's another episode.
Listen, Me, You, and Truth, talking about that.
Bro, that was my original episode that I want to do. Me, You, and Truth, we have to do that, because
Me, You, and Truth sit down and talk about how to navigate the multiple
because y'all are already starting to do that with me. Like, you can be multi-talented, but if you don't know how to strategize around being multi-talented, you just be all over the place and crazy.
But it's because we've all been there. I think that's the thing. Like, it's like, we've all been at that, we got to have a mentor, Capricio, who's on our board. And I'll never forget what he said. We can do this. I'll give one principle. We go to the next episode. Well, we'll do this on the next episode.
Yes, we have to.
Because he used to manage creatives for a living. Right. Over 100 million records. So Beyonce, Michael Jackson, all these. And he told me one day, he said, there's a difference between effort and results. And he said, who cares that you're running if you're running in a circle and you never actually took a step forward?
Wow.
And that's what I see a lot of creatives do. That's what I was doing as a creative.
Yeah.
That's what you tend to do when you've got a million gifts. You just end up doing a bunch of stuff. And you're running in circles and you've exerted a lot of effort and you have no results. But it's because you thought energy equaled progress.
Wow.
And I bought into that as well, because it's like, I just got to grind. If I grind, I'll get there.
Yeah.
But you realize, no, if I grind, I'm just going to be tired. But if I grind intentionally if I have a calculated grind, then I could actually go further, faster, doing less This is the whole, when Mike Todd was going through his beginning phase, this is why he kept saying, rest in God and wait on God. And, it's not about moving. It's about letting God do what he wants to.
Yeah, when he tapped in his stride.
There it is, stride. That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Let's stride. The broken down version of that is less can equal more if it's intentional and if it's calculated. And you can, and you can get a lot done. So anyway,
Jesus.
Story is a story, and it was something that God, this particular phase of it, the church, all of that, was something that I felt like the Lord asked me to do. And I did not, and I think a lot of people can identify with this. Somebody asked me once, does God ask you for favors? Like, does he do that? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
this
all
is
the
what
time.
he does.
Jesus.
He's like, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? So yeah, but I had something else in mind. I got it. But can you do this for me? I'm like, yes. I'll stop everything because that's what matters. So, God told me to create a model for apostolic church, prophetic church, spirit-filled church, and multi-ethnic church that sits in a post-Christian world. Basically hopefully creating the church of the future that can produce racial reconciliation. So we're back to that king thing again. Yep. And so we are. So I had somebody text me the other day who I've told this vision to, big pastor who has planted about like 600 churches and white guy. And he texted me privately. He said, hey, so glad you got your building. Don't forget about the other locations. And I was just like, I can't think about that right now, sir.
I mean, shout out to the building. We right around the corner.
Just like, he's like, I'm so happy for the building, but don't let the building, this is what he said, get in the way of the vision. And I was just like, why are you pushing me? So I'm like, Dr. Creflo Dollar said the other day, at this point, it's too much for me. If without God, I can't do it. And I think that's where we are. We're just trying to help people connect their story to God's story and build these churches and build people.
Yeah.
And get the media going again and the television shows and just do what we can to we're going to talk tonight. We got DNA night tonight as a church about taking ground.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's one of our major values. It's like, it's an apostolic value is you take ground for the kingdom. It's connected to kingdom theology and the first commandment that we kind of got from God as let me make man and woman in my image and my likeness to subdue, rule, dominate.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we're not trying to be Scarface. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We are trying to, I love this, remake the world. Remake the world.
That's good.
For it to be everything God's called it to be, man. So,
bro,
I need you and Hadley.
We need you.
Y'all, and so much. So here we are.
Man, I feel like this could legit be a 3-hour podcast because there's just so much in this. But I want to end it with one question.
Yes.
One final question. It's gonna be a deep one.
I know it is. Because I know you.
So you've been married 8 years.
Yeah.
To Toni Collier. First of all, if y'all don't know who Toni is, she's the female version of him.
Yes.
You'll never see a more alike couple than them two. It's incredible. And you are Young T. And you are a new father.
Ooh, deep question. Yeah, I just saw Sammy. Yeah.
Sammy, that's your twin. Let me rephrase it. What is the summarized point of your story
that you want Sammy to take with him?
Oh man.
Out of all that you've been through,
Wow.
you're like, son, take this one and run with it.
It would be two things.
Of course.
I'll try to put them together.
Of course.
Greatness is possible because it's in you. And you have to pull it out, but it's in there. So it's possible. And then the second thing would be, and the best way to get there is with Christ. Surrendering your story to his. And that's what I would say. Greatness is possible.
Wow.
And that's really, I think, a truth for all of us. It's, if we're made in his image, I love this statement that a mentor of mine, he used to say from the stage all the time. If you are made in God's image, it means that you have divine capacity. Isn't that a statement?
That's a bomb.
You have divine capacity because you're made in his image. So greatness is inevitable if you tap into it and if you believe. So
Wow.
don't play small.
Don't play small. Jesus.
You know what I mean?
That's big. Bro, this was literally just, this is a surface level conversation.
Jeez.
We're gonna have to do this again because there's so much more.
Yeah.
So much that we didn't even tap into. Because I tell you this all the time, and I'm gonna say it publicly. You're not normal. Your life isn't normal. The way you live is not normal.
Jeez.
And there's a generation of not normal people that need what you have. So I'm excited. I'm excited to do this journey with you. I'm excited to be a part of Story. You guys have embraced my wife and I, and it's like we've been doing this from the beginning. I mean, we've been at every event since the beginning, but bro,
we need the Johnsons.
we need the Colliers. I'm excited, bro. Thank you so much, and I can't wait for the next show.
Come on.
Me, you, and Truth.
Beyond the shore.
Beyond the shore.
Beyond the shore.
We out there now.
Yeah.
Let's go. Man, oh man, listen, I had a blast having this conversation with my friend, and I can't wait to bring him and the truth back, because we really got to talk about being this multifaceted entrepreneur, creative, we've got to have that conversation, because there's so many of us that wear so many different hats, and learning how to be everywhere at once is vital for the scalability and the success of your business. So we've got to have that conversation, and maybe your generosity will help us to make that happen in season 3. Listen, like I told you earlier, you can find your ways to partner with us on the screen or in the description section below. Listen, your generosity makes this all possible. And from the bottom of my heart and from us here at River, we want to say thank you so much to everybody that partnered with us for season 2 to make this happen. Listen, I'm forever indebted to you. Thank you so very much. We are planning to do something special for you before the year is out. We're so grateful for your generosity. Now, I want to jump back to the VERA Lofts. If you don't know anything about anything, listen, you've got to know about the VERA Lofts here in Atlanta, Georgia. He owns about 4 or 5 different spaces. He being Mr. Ezekiel owns about 4 or 5 different spaces here in Atlanta that are incredible for videography, photography, for meetings, for events. Listen, I need you to hit the link in the description section below. Please go check out the VERA Loft and book your next event today at the VERA Loft. Listen, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. We've got another conversation coming to you next week, but listen, I'm going to be chewing off of this conversation until then, and I hope that it has changed you in the process. I love you guys, and this is Beyond the Shore. We'll see you next time.